Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. My name is Stuart Schlossman, and guess what? I too have MS. Isn't that great? It's so great that I know what kind of programs we need to bring you. It's so great that everybody that we have working with our organization has some kind of neurologic illness. Why? Because we want everybody to actually feel what they're doing. All right, so we want to make it so that way when we bring these programs around the country that we are doing what the patients need. We are currently providing these educational programs in 23 states. All right, once upon a time, and not that long ago, only 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, is when we began. In February of 2010, we did our first program in Miami, Florida. And what did we do? We were expecting to have 85 people that day, but because this was something brand new for Miami, we had 137 come. It was so bad, the hotel ran out of food. They had to go down the block and get food from another hotel. It was great, though. I mean, it meant a lot, all right? It was the beginning of the era to right now, today's program. We have now done over 300 educational programs in the United States. Okay, we're asked to do, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Go ahead, you can clap. That's good. Thank you. So, it's strong for me too. I mean, people wonder, how am I, with MS, able to get around and do these programs? How are we doing 50 plus programs a year? How are we orchestrating these and attending steering committee meetings all around the world to be able to provide for the global MS community? And the answer is pretty simple. And a lot of you live with that saying that I have MS, but MS doesn't have me. Well, I live with MS, and I taught MS to live with me, and if it doesn't like it, then get the out of here. Okay? That's the bottom line. Thank you. So, again, though, I don't have much time to think about it, and that's something that I ask people with MS to do. Do things with your life, all right? Life is way too short not to be doing things. Find things that you like to do and do it. You will find that you will pay attention to whatever's going on in your body less if you're paying attention to something else that's more important for you. Okay? And that's my word for the day, and I'm going to stick with it. Okay, so, listen, to begin with today's program, I have to thank Sanofi-Genzyme and Biogen for giving us the funding to do today's program. I hope that you all appreciate it as well. Let's give them a round of applause. We cannot do our programs. We cannot do our programs without the funding from the pharmaceutical industry, who gives us the funding, the dollars, the grants, I should say, to provide these programs. And they know that we're speaking about everything at these programs. And like today's program, we're really not talking about the medications, but other aspects about multiple sclerosis. And that's what Dr. Hunter will be speaking with you about later on. To begin today's program, we're going to have Jeff Segal. And Jeff Segal is a personal trainer. He's a motivational speaker. He was the recipient of the National Personal Trainer of the Year Award in 2007 by the NSCA. He's living with MS since 1998. Jeff is not just a speaker of MS Views and News, but he and I have become friends over all these years. And I want to thank him for being here. Thank you.
These programs don't work without you guys, and you guys are just, we're all together here. We've all got something in common, besides not knowing what I'm going to say next. I want some participation out of you, because life is about participating. Life is not about being a spectator. Life is about being a participant. From when you're a little kid to when you're an adult, participating is what makes you happy, right? So if you want to participate in something that I have for you to do right now, all I ask is that you give 100%. Deal? All right, so I want everybody who's able to do it, raise your hand as high as you can possibly raise it. Okay, raise your hand this much higher. Did you look around and see everybody raise their hand this much higher? You can put your hands down. You know what? You guys all failed. Because that's what happens in life. You don't see what's in front of you. You see what you want to see. But 100%, when I said that, you guys should not have been able to raise your hand higher than that, and you still did. Because I asked you to. Because you thought outside the box. And thinking outside the box and doing a little bit more every time you get a chance to is how you're going to live your life a better you. Right? I'm 1 out of 1. Right? I have MS. Like I hear all day, I have MS. MS doesn't have me. The whole, well, you look so good. Hey, who wants to look bad? Right? I hear that, I'd say, thanks a lot. How do you feel? I feel great. I feel better than I felt before I was diagnosed with MS right now. I keep active. I do everything I can. There's no free rides out there. There's not a special secret. There's no secret thing that says, all right, here's the secret thing that's going to make you Superman. No, there's no unicorn outside taking you home either, right? You guys have to find deep inside you what it is that's going to make you do a little bit more, this much more, or a lot more than that. What drives this country? What drives everybody to do more? What's the biggest incentive out there that people have?
Seriously, what do people work for? Money. So if I had a $10,000 check in my pocket right now and I said, whoever wants that check has to raise their hand 2 feet higher than what you just did, what would you do? Yeah, see, there'd be a lot of people standing up jumping, and for $1 million there'd be people fighting for the tables, right? So that's 4 feet higher than what I said originally. And if it's somebody else, if it's a competition, whether it's for a work or whether it's for just having fun in life, you got to find a way. Forget about the excuses. Put them aside. They're not for you. Find a way. Fight harder. Dig deeper. Get that little bit more. And when you get that little bit more, say, hey, wait, I can do not just that little bit more, I can do a lot more. One of the keys is being around people that want you to be great, right? No, people that want you to be the best you can possibly be. And every day, that's what you should strive for. You should strive for being the best you can possibly be today. And don't get that mistaken for the best you ever were. Because you can't be the best you ever were right now unless you're at that point. It takes hard work. What I do is, I'm a personal trainer. I work with a lot of people who have MS. I do research. When I was, my greatest asset that I could say as a trainer with MS and a degree in exercise science-related area and exercise physiology is I was down and out. That's my best asset that I have. I was in a wheelchair, unable to see, barely able to talk, and I was told by a physician, you're probably never going to be able to walk again. That was the best thing that I could possibly hear at that point in my life. Because I'm not the person that you tell that to. He didn't realize that until I told him where to go. And it was hard to do. A year later, I worked my ass off. I worked every day. I did research. I did every possibly thing. There wasn't a lot of research out there. When I was first diagnosed, I was told not to exercise. And I said, my gosh, I've got something where I can't exercise. Well, obviously I didn't listen to them because I knew I felt better when I did it. And if I didn't overdo it, just like when I was an athlete and playing football and I was, on top of the world, I was an all-state football player in Florida. In Florida, people eat and drink football all year round. That's, when it's cold everywhere else, we're practicing out in the heat. So I wasn't going to have somebody tell me I can't. You tell me I can't, I will. A year went by after doing hard work. I was playing in a pickup basketball game. Remember, I wasn't going to walk again. I was playing in a pickup basketball game. I was running behind somebody who missed a layup. I got up above the rim. I saw the ball there. Bam, I slammed the ball. So I was able to dunk a basketball again. I was able to prior to not being able to walk. I walked into the doctor's office the next day, the one that I fired. And I told him, hey, remember, I'm that guy that can't walk. I dunked a basketball last night, and as I walked out of the office, I told him to kiss my ass. So it takes a lot of hard work. It takes sweat. It takes digging deeper than you possibly ever thought you could. But don't do more than what you can. You just keep going. And sometimes you don't see it. How many people in here have ever been called an overachiever? That kills me. You should only be called an overachiever once. And if you are called an overachiever, the person that called you that doubted you because they didn't know your potential. So if you know your potential, then your potential is able to be reached. That's what potential is, something that you can get to, and then raise it. So do a little bit more. And if you take a step back, something happens, so what? You start from scratch. You know where you are. The toughest part of my life was not being able to get up out of bed and stand up and falling face first into my closet for 3 straight weeks before I put a comforter in my closet. I crawled. I did everything I possibly could because I did not want to be a spectator. Okay? Now I could be a spectator. I'll watch sports. I'll do that kind of stuff. But I still play them. I still exercise. In fact, you're going to hear from Julie. She's not a quitter. I worked out with her in San Diego, and I thought I was kicking her ass, and she said, give me more. you know, because she could do it. And if you push yourself, not beyond what you should be able to do or not beyond what's good for you, but keep pushing. Because so many people that are afraid of exercising with MS don't do it because they're afraid of something that probably will not happen. Most doctors will tell you that exercise will not bring on an exacerbation. It might bring on mild symptoms temporarily, which is a warning sign for you to not do as much as that or not jump into a program that you finished 5 years ago when you didn't have MS. That's the biggest flaw when people want to go back and work out again. They go back to the gym and they try to do the same thing that they did when they're at their very best. And remember what I said before? You want to do the very best you can today, not 5 years ago. Not after you trained to be your very best and worked really hard. You don't think about that. That's the human, it's like a scapegoat we have, or it's something that we make up in our head is that if I'd asked you why you don't go to the gym, some people would say, well, I used to be able to, and then go on and say it. Well, what got you to that point? It was hard work. Hard work got you to your best. I cannot stand when people tell me what they used to be able to do, and that's why they don't go to the gym now. I used to be this tall. and now I'm not. Now I'm this tall. So going into exercise. Exercise is a science. Playing basketball and having fun and that type of stuff is exercise. That's just stuff that you're able to do that you learned, but it's supported by science. But when you want to gain and do better, there's science behind it. So you have to remember, it can be dangerous if you do it wrong. So don't do it wrong, do it right. Find the right person to work with, do that type of stuff, and you can call exercise just doing a little bit more. You know, if you can get up and walk around the house a couple times and that wears you out, hey, that's your limit today. But you know what? Your goal down the road might be walking around the block a couple times, or running, or who knows, because we don't know. There's a lot of unknown out there. I mean, how many times have you been to a doctor and they say, I don't know? A good doctor will tell you they don't know, because they're not going to make something up and say, well, that magic pill on the unicorn out front's going to help you. Because that's not there. There's no mermaids or unicorns or none of that stuff. And living a healthy lifestyle is important, whether you have MS or not. But let MS be the excuse to live the healthiest lifestyle you can. So that way, when you get to the weekend, you don't say, you know what, I'm going to start a diet on Monday. I'm going to really beat myself up and eat all this garbage. So that way on Monday, I've gained so much weight that by Wednesday when I get off the diet, I'll be much heavier than when I was starting the diet. I mean, you know, the thought of doing stuff over a weekend and getting yourself out of that zone where you want to start it now. Everybody, you ask, when's the best time to start exercising? When's the best time to start a diet? I don't like the words diet. I like, you know, a lifestyle change. But do you know when the best time to do that is? Right now. You know why? Because it's always right now. Same thing goes for exercise. When's the best time to start an exercise program? Right now. Always tell yourself that. Right now. If right now you're too tired to do it, in 30 minutes it'll be right now again. And the next day it'll be right now. Just don't make that 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, which becomes 3 years from now, which becomes fatigue that we experience. How many of you guys experience fatigue? How many of you guys just blame it on MS? It may or may not be. I've had plenty of MS fatigue. I've worked with a lot of people with MS fatigue. After ruling everything else out, one of them being sitting on your ass for 3 years saying, I'm too tired to do a little bit more. And that's the excuse at the end of the day. Well, I thought about it. If you put as much energy into thinking, as much as you do thinking about what you should do, and what you want to do and all that stuff into actually doing it, you take that time, you probably think about it for up to 3 hours in a day. It'll take it 30, 40 minutes to do. Get it out of the way. You could take the 3 hours and brag with that. Same thing as the time that it takes you on the weekend when you're talking about, I'm going to eat the pizza. I'm going to order a pizza. No, I'm not going to have one slice. I'm going to have the whole thing because the diet's starting on Monday. Then when you start the diet on Monday, all week you're complaining about what you did in the weekend. You don't use the weekend to complain during the week. The weekend is for fun. It's for doing more. It's for bettering yourself. It's for showing off. You're not going to work on the weekend most likely. So on the weekend, be the best you can be. Brag about it during the week. The next weekend, you're going to even have more fun. Sound like a plan? That's how I lived my life. And the scariest thing to me about having MS was the unknown. It was like, you have, and before the doctor told me what it was, all I could think of was, I hope he's not going to give me some initials. And once he gave me MS, MS. I didn't know the difference between MS and MD at that moment. I was thinking, okay, Jerry's kids. All right, I got a lot of support. This is awesome. Maybe I'll be in the telethon someday. That's how I thought about it. And then he's like, no, it's not that, but I had it right because I had studied it before. It wasn't that bad. Things can get really bad, but you want to be around people that will help you, that'll be your support, whether it comes to exercise, whether it comes to friendships. And like I said before, you always want to be around people that motivate you to be the best you can possibly be. And guess what you're doing for them? You're doing the same thing. Because good friends want to see good friends succeed. And success comes from hard work. Don't ever think you're going to be handed success on a silver platter. I don't miss the days before MS. Some of the things, I was younger. I was able to do some things that I can't do now because I work. The things I miss in life, I'll tell you want to know what I really miss in life? I miss coming home from dinner at night, in the backseat of my parents' car and falling asleep. And you know what magic is? Magic is appearing in your bed in the morning and waking up. And how did that happen? That's what I miss. Come on, how could you not miss that kind of stuff? No responsibilities. But during that same time, those were the days that your parents had to call you in from outside from playing, which was exercise, and they would have to scream to get you to come inside and come to dinner. And you would have been willing to skip dinner, right? Because you wanted to stay outside and play and be a part of whatever was going on. That's the true meaning of participation. Amongst a group of people that are friends, they're kids, people aren't fighting about things, there's no cell phones. You got to sometimes give some things up. What if somebody told everyone in the room, no cell phones for 3 days? I guarantee you, people would be calling their psychologists with someone else's phone. Put aside the cell phones. Step away, move away from the computers. Live your life how you know how to live your life. Do more. If you're able to climb stairs, climb stairs. If you're going to the second floor of a building and you're able to climb the stairs to the second floor. Guess what? You're going to save time. You're not going to wait for the elevator. I remember in Miami a couple of years ago with a friend of mine, we were waiting on the first floor of this big intercontinental hotel. And there was groups and groups of people going into the elevators like sardines. So we looked at each other and she said, And I said, And she said, And I said, yes. And she said, you know what floor I'm on? I said, I don't care. She said, what floor are you on? I said, 23rd. I said, are you coming? She said, yeah. We went up the elevator. We got up to the 30th. She went to the 22nd floor. I went to the 23rd. But we made it. And now we laugh about it and we talk about it. And we did it because we could. So don't take the easy way out. How many people in here have memory problems? Okay, and how many people in here have memory problems? Some things that you want to try not to do is, if you do have memory problems and you do want to eat better and you do want to cut back on the amount of food you eat, how many times do you ever walk in the kitchen and forget what you were going in there to get? Does that ever happen to anybody? It happens to me. Get the hell out. Because you're not hungry. But if you stay in there, you're going to grab something in the refrigerator or somewhere because you forgot what you went in there for, and of course it's where you keep your food. But if you're smart, you only keep healthy food around the house, because if you don't, you have the ability to eat unhealthy foods. Now, I'm going to show you some exercise and some simple stuff that I like doing. I'm not gone. This is just a simple exercise band. The most important thing about developing an exercise routine is safety and starting. This is, since I came in a plane, I didn't want to bring a big medicine ball. Imagine this as being this size and 20 pounds. These are fun. They're soft. Exercise. If you get an exercise ball that's soft, you can get them just about any sporting goods store, Walmart's. You can do all sorts of fun things with them. Anything that you can do with a dumbbell. If you drop a dumbbell, what's going to happen? You can break your foot. You can hurt your foot. But you drop a medicine ball, it'll roll, and someone really nice will go pick it up for me, right? Thank you. But throwing this with people, doing stuff like that is it's a fun thing. It's bringing back the childhood in you. You can take it to, many distances and much further than just throwing it. But throwing it can be safe for you. You can do squats with it. So a squat is there. If you can't do a squat that deep, that's okay. Do it however much you can. How many people in this room can stand up out of a chair but can't do a squat? How do you get out of the chair without doing a squat? You can do a squat. You just can't do a squat like I did just now. You can modify it. Do a shorter squat because this is a squat too. If you get up out of a chair, you've done the concentric part of a squat. And if you do it twice, now you're exercising. And if you do it 3 times, then you're 300% more better off than you thought you were when I asked if you could do a squat. Usually what I do is I ask everybody who cannot do a squat to stand up so I can see who you are. And when they do that, I explain that they just did part of a squat. A progression of squats, if you cannot do a full squat, would be getting on a seat that's very high, even if it's only this much of an elevation to get to a standing position. And when you do it, it would start from here to here, here to here, and then get something a little bit lower and go a little bit lower, not all at once, over time. And that's how exercise is. It's a progressive thing. Progressions are good when it comes to exercise. And your body, people talk about muscle memory and all that type of stuff, which there's a debate about muscle memory. It's really neurological adaptations to movements. You learn something, then the second time you do it, if it's years later, it's easier to learn because you've done it before. It's like if once you ride a bike, you usually can continue to ride a bike. Same thing goes with swimming. Some things that I like having people do is, I use these furniture movers. I have this is my simple little toolbox of exercise, my portable gym. A band, a ball, a furniture mover, I'm good to go. I also bring a couple other things, but stuff that you can fit anywhere you go. Has anybody ever used one of these for exercise? Nope. They're really cool. Come to my house, I'm going to put my furniture on them, and I'm going to have you push across the whole house. No, that's not for a couple weeks. But if you have problems, there was a time I couldn't stand on 2 feet without falling over. And by doing slow progressions, I would go from here to being able to stand up in a ready position. How many people watch sports? How many people watch a sport that does not have a ready position, that doesn't have an engine involved? Think about it. Throw a sport to me that does not have the ready position as part of the sport. Anyone? Bueller? No? They all do, because this is the most stable position people can be in. It's like this. You think of a baseball player, a shortstop, they're here. Because if they have to turn and move quickly, they can. Their center of gravity is base. That's how I got myself back into being able to balance. And balance is second to stability. The difference between balance and stability is putting a triangle on the tip facing down versus this. What's more stable? This is. So that's why this is a better posture for stability. And then the progression would be a little bit closer together, a little bit closer together, staggered stance, and then one leg. Or you can do something with this, where this would, to get to one leg, that's only if you want to do something on one leg. The most important thing that I see people doing on one leg, besides walking, but you're shifting weight, so you're actually, it's a unilateral movement, but you're going from foot to foot, but showing somebody how long you can stand on one leg. Because that stance on one leg, it's good as a tool for measurement to see how you are with ataxia and stability, but in regular day life, are you going to, oh, I'll see you later. That's not how it works. That doesn't happen. But you can train unilateral with one of these, where you can do a progression of a squat. This would be a single-legged squat, and then you can all go as far as to there. This leg's just going for the ride, you know? So that's, or to the side, or doing a lunge with a reach. Strongest muscle in your body is right here. The maximus, the gluteus maximus. That should be trained all the time. You don't want to lose the ability to use that muscle, because that's what you use to get up. That's hip extension. That's coming up. That's coming up out of a seat. And it looks good when it's strong too. So you can also have stuff with two or three. Three is difficult. But two things. I brought an extra one just in case. Or maybe I forgot, and I tend to do things like 3 times when I'm packing. Then I wonder where my shirt is that's at the bottom of the suitcase and look through my whole wardrobe for that shirt. Happens too often. So I try to have a little bit more than one of everything. So with these, you can go into a push-up, you can go into a squat, you can go into what I just showed you, a lunge. That's a way that I've taught people how to do lunges. How many people in here have ever done a lunge? So there's a few different types of lunges. There's an anterior, posterior, there's a lateral lunge, there's a lunge that you would do if you're holding something here, where you step back and you come up. Problem with that is, when you step back, you push yourself back up, but you want the front leg to get the work. That's why I love throwing these in there, because if I were to push off with this leg to get back up, I would slide. So it comes back up. Also with a push-up, push-ups are a great core exercise. How many people in here have problems with their core or don't have a strong enough core? Nobody has a strong enough core. It could always be stronger. Your core is what keeps you upright. It prevents you from falling out of a seat. If you can't stand and you're in a chair, you still have to have a strong core or you'll fall out of the chair. When you're at the mall and you're walking and there's a group of people and you're perfectly healthy and someone just barely brushes into your shoulder and you keep going, you don't have MS, you don't have any kind of illness that hampers your stability. You don't even know that happened. But if you do have MS, it could be the difference between falling or not, having a strong core. So you've got to maintain a strong core. Strong core, it would be, you can train it by forces coming from this way, or this way. So if you had the band, imagine it's hooked up to something over here. Can I have a volunteer? Anybody want to volunteer? This is a tough time for a volunteer because you guys are eating. So, okay, so imagine these are straight. If I'm doing a row,
Here, you need someone to hold it?
Stuart, why don't you come up here?
I do. You're killing me.
I want him.
Cindy, he's been wanting me to do this.
I've been trying to get, this is like a first. I'm getting him to come up here. Now I want you to get on all fours here. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice try.
Hold this. I want you to go back a little bit. Actually, you take the both of these.
We're going to have a contest?
Yeah. Now I need someone to come and jump back and forth and back and forth. Okay, what I want you to do is keep your knees bent and stick your butt out. Come on. There you go. Pull your arms straight back. Not down, just straight, just like this. There you go, and forward. And pull. Okay, now you can let it go forward. Not let it go, but bring your arms forward. What he's doing here is by pulling and keeping his body upright, his lower back muscles, which are part of his core, are preventing him from falling forward. So it's like doing a row in a gym, but in the gym you do a row, you get big muscles, but it makes you better in the gym, not better outside the gym. That's what the goal of exercise is. The goal of exercise is to be the best you can possibly be when you leave the gym. When you're not in the gym and you notice that something's a little bit easier or your stamina is a little bit better because of the hard work you did in the gym and make it functional where your body's not supported by all these things, bodybuilders can get bigger and stronger by using those machines. It's functional to them because they're bodybuilders. Like, remember when you used to be a bodybuilder?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Jeff.
Some things that I've come across in the world of exercise, and it's a complete different world when I'm working with people with neurological issues. Like I was saying, you have neurological adaptations to things. But you're more likely to have imbalances in muscles because you might have different pathways of the muscles building as you're going due to certain muscles not working. Like I know a lot of people who I've worked with whose hip flexors, they can't do this. Or they can't do it 10 times without their leg completely tiring out. So what they end up doing is they end up compensating and getting their foot will turn out to get their leg to come up. Or they can't lift their leg at all and there does it. So that what you're using is you're bypassing the normal system that you'd use as hip flexion and go into adduction, which is bringing your legs together. But if you put your foot out and you start doing this, you're still it looks like hip flexion, right? Looks like my leg's coming up in front of me. It's on the same plane, it's doing the same thing, but it's working different muscles that aren't meant to do that, especially aerobically. So what I like to do is I like to watch people do squats, assessments. Every session that I'm with a client, it's an assessment the whole time I'm working with them. I see something off an inch, I want to know why. And that's what I was getting to before with the fatigue. I'll get back to that in a minute about how many people have fatigue. But when you stand up, people usually who sit down like this all day behind a desk, that's just like a horrible thing. That whole statement was bad. But when they get up, they'll end up doing this. They'll get up with their legs coming apart a little bit. Or if they cross their legs like this, they come inward. Or it just could be a neurological change in their body's kinetic chain. So if I see, I'll hold them with two hands, they'll do a single-legged squat, and if they're doing a single-legged squat, their knee comes in like this. What I'm seeing is that movement is hampered by weak external rotators of the hips. It's nothing to do with the knee. Your knee's fine. Knees are stupid. Knees do this and this. If they do anything else, it involves a knife. So stuff simple where you can do step back and out. Back and out. That's working your external rotators. On this leg, believe it or not. Pushing back would be working this leg. Or doing pivots. Simple pivots would be working for the person who has weak internal rotators. That's the legs point out. Does that make sense to you? Am I speaking too anatomically? Internal rotation of the hip is this. External rotation of the hip is this. So if this happens, it means the external rotator that would keep your leg here isn't strong enough to keep it from falling inward. That's why I would fix the motion. I'm not worried about the particular muscle. I'm worried about movement. And not necessarily fixing it, but have some sort of correction so that it doesn't get worse. Then back to the fatigue thing I was telling you about, that's when you start to see these issues taking place is when you're tired and you try to do something and something doesn't come out right. Or how many times have you guys gone to the mall and you're walking and you get really tired and by the time you've gone way too far, you're dragging one leg and you keep hitting your foot on the ground because of drop foot. You overdid it. Take rest. Do it in intervals. But what I do to find out from people about their fatigue levels when I'm working with them is I ask a lot of questions. Someone tells me they're really tired today. It's my MS. No, well, are you sure? Yeah. Well, what makes you think that? Well, because I'm tired. Well, I was tired too earlier. So I'll ask these questions. Simple things that you can think about when you have fatigue issues. First off is the simplest of them all. How did you sleep last night? What did you have for dinner last night? What time did you eat dinner last night? Why didn't you have breakfast today? That's the most common one. I'm not saying that's why. Have you had any issues in your life that have been difficult for you with relationships, social stuff? Are you down in the dumps? All these things lead to fatigue. That could be secondary to MS. Or you could just be having MS fatigue. But you want to eliminate all these other things, especially when I start with people, they're deconditioned. That's what's caused the fatigue. And slowly work your way up to it. What I really like to do is I like to challenge people. And I like to teach them things that they, for some reason, think they can't do anymore. And then I let them do it. And from that point, they're hooked. They want to do more. They feel they have got their life back. It's incredible when you can do that with somebody. And you guys could be that person doing it with somebody else, or you could actually be the person who's getting that extra chance, that extra fire lit, that extra want. Because you got to want it really, really bad. Like I said, there's no silver platter. There's nothing coming to you that easy. And you really got to be around people, find your support, which is all right around you in this room. This is your support. Organizations like MS Views and News, that's your support. You want to learn about a topic, you can go to their YouTube channel and find that topic and listen to a professional that's an expert in that topic and listen to what they have to say. And it could have been from 1,000 miles away from where you are. So wear your support like a shoe. If a shoe has the best support of any shoe you own and it's in the closet, it's not going to do a damn thing for your foot without wearing it. So embrace your support. Okay? Now I challenge everybody in here to start their day off with a goal. And it can't be something that you're going to do today, whatever it might be, and do it. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. But that's my challenge to you, because if you wake up in the morning and you smile and you're happy and you've got all and you're inspired to do things, you're going to get a lot more done. And the people around you will too, and it's kind of like it grows. You'll be around a lot of happy people with successful stories. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single person in this room for being here. And none?
Yes.
And I'm opening up for some questions now. Anybody have any
Let's
questions?
thank Jeff, everybody. Does anybody have questions in the room for Jeff? And if yes, I'm going to run around the room, all right? I'm going to start right here.
He's going to walk.
And I might run. If you give me enough dollars, I'll run. All right, I'm going to start here. Please put your hand up. Just let me acknowledge that you want me to come to you. I need you to speak into the microphone, please. I'm going to hold the microphone so that way you don't put it here and we can't hear you. All right?
Jeff, are those exercises that you demonstrated a part of the YouTube?
Those are they on YouTube? Well, they will be when this gets up there.
Thank you.
No, but there's some other programs that I do with that. But when you're talking about like the squat and the lunge and that type of stuff, yeah, there are programs that he has on YouTube that have them. But remember, keep it simple. Getting up out of a chair is a squat. If you fall backwards, that means your weight's not far enough forwards.
Well, one thing that I find that I have a problem with, even when I have therapy, I don't always recognize when I've overdone it until there are really dire circumstances that develop.
Okay, so when that happens, you have to keep track of what you did the day before that caused it and not go that far. Find the edge, skate on it, but don't cross it.
Anybody else over here? Come on, you got to make me run around. You've got some pounders.
We got in the way back corner too.
So I used to be an up-and-coming sub-elite runner triathlete, and putting in 70-mile weeks, and my motto was "Suck it up, Buttercup." I don't care if it's 100 degrees. Now, I've developed heat intolerance, and just had a relapse where I can't get outside in 73 degrees without feeling like fire ants are all over my body. So my cooling vest was working until that occurred, and now it only works for yesterday 28 minutes. But if I start exercising, my core temperature rises about 3 degrees in 5 to 10 minutes. Do you know of any grocery stores that will allow us to go in their milk freezer to?
You know what? That's a lot. Well, a lot of shopping malls have their temperature low, and they allow you to come in early and walk and do stuff in there. Inside your own home, if you can do something. I don't know if you have a treadmill or have access to a treadmill. The exercise recommendations for inside for people with MS is 66 to 70 degrees. So you want to try to keep it in that area or lower if you need it. But as far as your cooling vest goes, if you're going to do something outside and it only works for a little while, then come back, take a short break, cool down. The cool down is important. It's as important as the exercise. But get a towel or something, soak it in water, stick it in the freezer in a bag, or it'll get everything wet. Then, when you want to go again, do it a little bit. When you come back, put that frozen towel on you. Then you might have a little more time to go because you keep your core temperature down. But you got to find little things. You got to find your little ways around the problems that you're having. Or do shorter bouts in several of them.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Good question. Yeah, Jeff. I work in an office environment, and I noticed that a lot of people were getting these standing desks. And I've heard articles where people sitting at desk jobs are beginning to contract different ailments, like it increases heart disease or type 2 diabetes and all kinds of things. And then I've also heard that you should get up and walk around about every 30 minutes. Can you comment on like those standing desks and things?
I'll tell you a few things. First off, computers and cell phones down the road are going to really cause lots of problems. They already have, because you're sitting at the desk. So set a timer, something simple, 30 minutes. You have a cell phone? It's got a timer. Set it for 30 minutes, and every 30 minutes, get up, stretch, do something, walk around, because you don't want to get tight hip flexors, or you're going to have something secondary to your MS. Tight hip flexors will hold you lower to the ground, then you're losing the fight with gravity, and you end up with a shuffle walk. You want to be able to straighten out your legs. So that's the best thing to do for getting stuck in a seated position for too long. Is that basically your question, or?
Yeah, what about standing?
Standing is great, but sometimes with people with MS have problems standing for prolonged periods of time. Right. So change it up, mix it up. Sit, stand, sit, stand. Then you also did a lot of squats.
Yes, I've been diagnosed with MS, since 2010. But like I've done physical therapy. But my problem is I have spasms sometimes in my legs, so it's kind of hard because I used to be on a bike where I would ride it, but now I'm trying to, get at the YMCA.
Yes, spasticity is a concern with people with MS, and it sounds like are you having muscle spasticity, or is it a tremor issue?
Yeah, it's just, sometimes my leg is just.
Talk to your doctor, talk to a physical therapist, what would be the best for your specific situation. But stretching helps. After you're warmed up though. Passive warm-up is by putting heat on something rather than an active warm-up by doing. Because if you have the spasticity problems, an active warm-up might cause you to have more spasticity before you're warmed up. So you can put some heating on some local areas of your body, which isn't going to be a problem because it's not central, and then do some stretching. Find somebody, whether it be at a YMCA or a local gym, or somebody that understands MS first off and understands how to safely stretch, and see if stretching will help, because stretching is something that can help spasticity. And then talk to your doctor about it, because maybe there's something they can do in addition to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, they gave me this list, all these exercises that I can do at night and in the morning, and I do them, but still sometimes, Do
them when you're able to.
Okay.
If you can't do them, like you try them early and you're having problems, then give it some time. Pick another time to do them, or another time, but put it in your calendar for many different times. All you got to do is the once or the 2 times. Right.
Next.
Have you done water aerobics, and what do you think about that for people? I mean, what is the thing that you would recommend with water aerobics to strengthen the body?
First thing is staying hydrated. That's something I didn't touch on. Stay hydrated. That's the one thing that people tend to not be, whether you have MS or not, is hydrated. Water is your friend. When you're in the water, you don't realize that you're still sweating. So you want to drink a lot of water going into the activity. Water aerobics are great as long as they're within your abilities. and you don't have to worry about weight or gravity too much. So if you have orthopedic issues, it's a lot safer to do. But remember, when you're in the water, you're going to exert yourself to a certain level in the water. You have to get out of the water, so plan to get out of the water safely, because after the program you did finishes, you still have to go about the rest of your day, and you can be really fatigued. I don't know if anybody in here has ever done water exercises where you felt like you were, on top of the world. You can keep doing it and doing it and doing it. You get out of the water and you feel like each leg's 1,000 pounds. So take it in stride, a little bit at a time, but I think water aerobics are great. 80 degrees is the temperature too. It might seem cold, but it's the right temperature.
Hi, my question is also heat related. So a friend of mine, she also has MS, and like her doctor told her to stop going to the gym because she was getting too hot. But I mean, if you're in the gym and you're getting too hot, I mean, if you push through it, is that dangerous, or do you just keep getting better, or do you need to stop? I mean,
with MS, it's another ball game. That's like no pain, no gain. That's not good anywhere. But with MS, fighting through the heat is like, I'm just going to go into the fire for a few more minutes. It doesn't work that way. You work around to get yourself cooled off. Do what I said about the towel. Get something to cool your body off, or find a fan. A fan could be the big thing that could save you, is being near a fan and air movement. Talk to the gym also. If the gym is too warm, tell them, hey, you know what? Exercise recommendations for people with MS are 66 to 70 degrees, according to the American College of Sports Medicine. Why is it 78 degrees in here? The recommendations for people who don't have MS is 66 to 74 degrees. So a lot of gyms just don't do that. But if you tell them, hey, I have special needs, I want the gym a little bit cooler, can you do it? And if they can't, you may want to find another gym.
But if you keep going, like, heat maybe start causing issues, but it's not permanent, right? It's just temporary.
It's not
permanent,
permanent,
hurt you.
but the problem is once heat starts causing issues, fighting through it means fighting through it with the possibility of bad form, which can lead to injury. So the heat might change your gait a little bit, change your form. You may hurt your shoulder, your back, something like that. So keep that in mind, that fighting through it it's good to be able to do it, but is it safe? Is it worth it?
I ran.
There you go.
This is actually, it's not a question, but some of the gyms actually offer cooling rooms, like Olympus in Murfreesboro. They have a gym that has treadmills, Stairmasters, several machines that you can use, and the room is actually cooler than the rest of the gym.
That's great. That's phenomenal, because your body doesn't, whether you have MS or not, doesn't function as well in hotter conditions. The more you sweat, the more systems your body is working, and less you're gaining. That whole sweat thing, I got my good workout with a lot of sweat, that doesn't mean it was a better workout because you sweat more. It just means that your body needed to be cooled off more.
Right. So they keep it darker, and they offer movies in that room. And you can just do your workout there, watch movies, and keep cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So a lot of gyms offer that. You
But
just
remember,
have to look
when you're
into
doing
that.
stuff in this aerobic, how many people in here have ever done a long distance or bike or treadmill where you stop and feel a little bit dizzy? Has that ever happened to anybody in here? It's had to have happened to people in here. Okay, well, when you stop and you feel a little bit dizzy, that's because you didn't cool down enough. Now, this is a little bit off of what you're asking, but I want everybody to know that cooling down is as important as the whole exercise routine, because if you don't cool down properly, your legs get pumped up with blood. You know that pump that you get? Well, if you stop abruptly and your heart slows down, your blood pressure slows down, your system's not going to get the blood back up into your heart. You get dizzy. That's because you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain. Next thing you know, you could have a stroke or something. So cooling down is as important as anything when you're doing an exercise. It was not the exact thing that you're referring to, but I think that's great that they have a cool room.
Most of the machines have the cool down.
Yeah, they do, but use them. Use the cool downs
Yes.
to the machines. It's not for it's not just to help with your muscles and stuff. It could save your life.
Any other questions? Two. All right, these are going to be the last two, all right? Then we're going to go on to the next speaker.
Just to follow up on your gym, do you know what temperature that specific room is? Okay.
You guys got to talk to each other. Find that place. That place for you.
Good afternoon. Just wanted you to expand a little bit on your process from when you went from falling in the closet to being the fit person that you obviously are appearing before us today.
It was long and hard and difficult, and it started on all fours, and I crawled throughout my house, and I was crawling and crawling and crawling. I got everybody upset, especially my dog. I took the floor, he ended up taking the bed. But I did it a little bit at a time, just a little bit at a time, and setbacks were gonna happen, they did, but every day I felt was going to be the day I was going to do a little bit more than yesterday. That's all I cared about. I woke up every single day and I said, today I'm going to be a little bit better than yesterday. Whether I was or I wasn't, I focused on it, and I did. I never said I might or I'm thinking about it. Every day was hard work. So that's what I attribute it to. I had luck. I mean, thank you. I really, luck went my way, but I never, ever, ever slowed down. I never said, I can't do this.
Awesome. Let's thank Jeff. By the way, Jeff is being video recorded here, but he is also on our YouTube Learning channel lots of times. I mean, more than 10. And he does something a little bit different at each program. So if you want to see what he's done, if you want to see anything else that we have on our Learning channel, you just have to go to our YouTube channel, which is available from the website, or just ask me and I will tell you.